Hey guys, it's Sam from the Rapchat, and today I'm going to talk about Precious Achiuwa and how he can be the most improved player not only on the Raptors, but the biggest breakout player this year in the NBA. Before we get into the video, if you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, it would mean the world. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at RapchatOfficial, where we post clips of the show every single week. Let's get into it. So last year, Precious Achiuwa had a pretty up and down season in his first year with the Raptors. If you remember correctly, he got acquired in the Kyle Lowry trade, and his role really started out as, one of the last guys at the bench rotation. We were excited to see, maybe what flashes he could show. I don't think there were a lot of expectations, though, on Precious last season, and certainly not in the form of helping us in the playoffs. Last year really was a tale of two halves for Precious. In the first half, he was, it was a pretty rough first half for him. We could see the flashes were there. We saw that crazy athleticism. We saw the intriguing handle, but really he could not finish at the rim last year, and that was a big issue. The defense was there, but it wasn't enough to excuse the really poor offensive game. Pre-All-Star game last season, Precious, in about 23 minutes per game, only averaged 7.5 points and about 7 rebounds. And this was on a dismal 46% true shooting percentage, which, especially for a big man who most of his shots are coming as assisted shots at the rim, this is basically unacceptable and borderline unplayable. Post-All-Star game, it was a totally different story. Now, in about half as many games, but in the same amount of minutes played, Precious averaged a little over 12 points per game and about 6 boards per game. But what's really promising to see is that his true shooting percentage jumped up to about 55%. Still not stellar, but more than acceptable, especially for a young big man who's, learning this new, larger role. And I think we really saw this culminate in a lot of flashes and a lot of really big plays in the playoffs last season. Against the 76ers, he was one of the primary defenders on Joel Embiid. And, no one's going to stop Joel Embiid, but Precious really did a nice job. He uses that large frame of his. He's 6'8", he's long, and he's uber athletic. And he combines this with his supreme knowledge of defensive schemes and great defensive intuition. And, we really saw that culminate in his defense against Joel Embiid. We also saw him, utilize his intriguing offensive play style in the playoffs. We saw, big threes. He took Joel Embiid off the dribble. We saw what could be if he combined his athleticism with finishing touch. Now, this season, his role is going to be much bigger. We're coming into the year, and he is, inarguably one of the top 6 players on the Toronto Raptors. And honestly, he has an argument to be the starting center of this team. Now, whether he starts or comes off the bench, I don't think it really matters. No matter what, I think he's due for a big-time season. A lot of it is going to be built off of his play in the second half of last season, and also some new things he can develop. So what makes Precious Achiuwa already the player that he is? Well, it has to do with defense. First and foremost, Precious Achiuwa is a defensive monster. Last year on defense, we saw him truly guard 1 through 5, both as matchups and on switches. There were times in the season where he guarded a guy like James Harden, and then times where he guarded, like I said, Joel Embiid. It's truly, utterly valuable to have a guy like that who has the quickness to defend guards, the strength to defend bigs, the length to get out on shooters. One game comes to mind is a game against the Atlanta Hawks, where he displayed a veteran-like ability to read the pick and roll between Trae Young and Clint Capella, one of the most lethal pick and rolls in the NBA. And he even, surprisingly, with his amazing athleticism, demonstrates an excellent ability to protect the rim. While last year he only averaged about a block a game, we saw his ability to change shots at the rim without fouling by staying straight, and by using that athleticism to make up for, his lack of height when defending big man down below. Now, Precious isn't a zero on offense either. And a lot of this last year came from his ability to surprisingly stretch the floor. In the first half of the season, in 48 games, he took only 59 threes, and on those threes, he shot 30%. Now, post-All-Star break, Precious shot 97 three-pointers, and on these threes, he shot an extremely impressive 39%. Now, this is an invaluable skill. As a stretch big, with someone with the athleticism that he has, with the strength that he has, the ability to pop out for 3 in a team that's already struggling for spacing is so valuable moving forward. Most of these three-pointers came off catch and shoot attempts. A lot of it was above the break, pick and pops. He showed a really good ability to hit corner threes. He's got a great release as well, a high release that allows him to get a shot off over almost anybody. Offensively, we did see some value from him as a screener. He rates out really well in a lot of screen statistics. He rolled well. The problem came with finishing, which is something that was a theme for him last season. Was Precious could get downhill, but he couldn't finish. We even saw so many impressive drives thanks to a really unique handle he has at his size. The ability to put the ball on the floor at his size really gives him an advantage over the bigger centers that guard him in most games. And also, considering the fact he's playing with guys like Scottie Barnes and Pascal Siakam, Precious is usually going to be guarded by a lower tier defender, and that ability to exploit those matchups will be extremely valuable as he moves forward. Put into perspective, Precious' shooting struggles. From about 3 to 10 feet, he shot a dismal 33% from the field. Now, this is almost hard to do, especially as a big man, when you're getting a lot of assisted shots. Secondly, on hook shots, he shot only 46%, while on layups, he shot only 46% as well. Now, this is going to have to improve for Precious to take that next step this season. So how does Precious become the player we all think he's going to be? Well, it all starts on the offensive end. And for Precious, this is, as I've talked about, the need to finish. Now, this comes in two distinct areas, I feel. The first is his ability to finish off of assisted plays. I'm talking about pick and rolls where he's the roller with the likes of Fred VanVleet, or even big on big pick and rolls with Pascal Siakam or Scottie Barnes. Now, this finishing can come in finishing lob attempts. I think we saw a lot of last year, the Raptors trying to really force lob attempts with Precious. And if you can open up that vertical spacing, it really relieves a lot of the lack of three-point spacing this team has. Now, this also comes off finishing with a soft touch around the rim, whether that's off the glass, finger rolls, hook shots from about 3 to 5 feet out. These are really important skills to have as a big man. Now, the Raptors, it's usually crowded down low, so to have that guy to be able to pop and finish those floaters and hook shots can really provide a spark to this team. We've seen how a guy like Pascal Siakam grew from hitting those shots. The second addition to Precious's game will come from his increasing improvement in self-creation. Now, last year, like I said, we saw these excellent athletic drives, him showcasing his handle, but I'd like to see more of that, and more importantly, I'd like to see him finish when he gets inside. Now, I think this requires improved balance and him just slowing down. I think he goes to the rim so quickly with such intent that usually ends up with him either short-arming his shots or just, hitting the back rim quite hard on floaters, and it's not a great look. I'd also like to see him get some sort of pull-up game. Love to see the occasional pull-up jumper or step-back jumper, especially when you're guarded by a smaller player who you can get your shot up over easily. And this will also come in handy when he's playing in lineups with a guy like Christian Koloko or Scottie Barnes, who are down low, and it'll only provide Precious with more lineup versatility and give Nick Nurse more ways he can utilize Precious. Now, I want to talk about Precious in terms of what an improved version of him can look like. And I've got a short-term player I'd like to look at. Now, if you take a look at Pascal Siakam in the Raptors championship season, while Precious, I think, is far and away the better defender already, I think he could take an interesting offensive role that mimics the style of play Pascal had that season. Now, this consists of corner threes and also hunting mismatches in transition. For example, Precious is so athletic in transition, he can usually beat centers down the court. This really opens up his ability to seal and exploit smaller wings or even guards and get easy, cheap buckets down to the rim or at least draw free throws. Pascal made a living off of this in the championship season as a third option. And think of Precious as a fourth or fifth option on the floor. Those opportunities will only be larger. I think having this off-ball threat is important for developing the short term and then allowing that on-ball ability to develop as Precious gets older and more comfortable around the rim. Now, in the short term, what's his ceiling? I think as soon as this season, Precious might be in the running for an all-defensive team. He is one of the only combinations of size, lateral quickness, defensive awareness, and athleticism. Now, in the long term, I realistically think Precious can become a top 50 player in this league. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Once again, let me know in the comments if you think Precious Achiuwa can be the most improved player in the NBA this season, and what's a comp for Precious Achiuwa as he moves forward in his NBA career. Please remember, to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Rapchat Official, where we post clips of the show every week and are looking to interact with you guys. Once again, I'm Sam Kenny from Rapchat, and thanks for watching.